Carpathians Domination is an interesting map and I've seen many matches decided in the first minute. This is due to the layout of the map and I will explain it to you in this video. As always, I will also give you tips where to go as support or as brawler in the respective phase of the match. Please also consider the information in the comments section of my video, and you can also join my Discord server for more information and to connect with other players. I will also post the charts there. Welcome to my new map guide for Carpathians Domination. The bottom line for both sides is to focus mainly on the capture point A at the beginning of the match. I have discussed this with many other players and tried other ways and positions in several matches. But in the end the hill around A was always the deciding factor. This is simply because you can completely oversee and control the other two capture points from here. In addition, you can also prevent the enemy from ever leaving the spawn again after a respawn. From the north side you can at least try to get to C with a little bit of cover, while from the south side you have almost no chance. The team that captures the point A can control the enemy spawn within a few minutes. Please don't get me wrong, the other two capture points are of course also relevant, just not at the beginning of the match. Once your team has control over A, you can take care of the other two capture points from here and take them in due time. This is why I only focus on the recommended routes for the capture point A and give some additional tips for the other positions. So let's start with the team that spawns north. When you get a down tier match and you have some armor to use, move directly to the capture point A. While using the path leading up the hill, keep an eye on this position. Especially in higher tier matches, there is always an enemy hiding behind the rocks. This position, that is on your way to the capture point, is quite good to get an early shot on the enemies that try to push the capture point C. But you only want to stop here when your team isn't following you up the hill to the capture point A. In this situation you can support them at C and B from here. Keep in mind that the enemy will most likely capture A in the meantime and push your position. So stay alert. I have marked the positions from which you can shoot at enemies with the I symbol, and positions where enemies can shoot at you with the exclamation mark. However, if fortunately other teammates are also going to A, skip this position and drive towards the capture point. If possible, use the hill and go hull down or position yourself behind the wall. Don't capture the point immediately, as there are usually enemies at this position and they can hide well. Here your teammates who play as support must be in position first. Therefore this is your first key position for the brawl route. You can also have an eye on that position and see if you can take out some enemies. When your teammates are in position or there appears to be no enemy, move to the capture point and occupy it. You can use the rocks as cover and fight enemies that try to push the point from their side of the map. The capture point itself is your second key position for the brawl route. Still have an eye and ear to your left and check the minimap. Once you have occupied the capture point and the area around you is under control, you can take advantage of this position and move to the key position number 3. Look at the minimap and check if your team needs support at C or B. If so, use the ruins around you as solid cover while reloading and to protect your weak side armor. Now you can comfortably shoot at the side armor of the enemies on the other two capture points. In case your team already has the other two capture points under control, you can move onwards directly after A, towards the archway on the other side. Now you have a direct view on the enemy spawn and here you can see why the capture point A is so important. I will not recommend to spawn camp, but if the opponent has A under his control, you can hardly leave your own spawn. No matter from which side, ignore the spawn and have an eye on the path that leads up to the hill from the side of the enemy. Maybe there are still some enemies hiding there and you can take them out. When it is late in the match or there are enough of your teammates around A, you can drop down to the other two capture points and clear or capture them. Remember that you only need 2 capture points to win the match. This can be an additional key position for the brawl route from the north spawn. Now let's have a look at the support routes from this side of the map. Here I distinguish between a route where my tank needs a bit more armor and one where I should go with fast and rather squishy tanks. The route for the squishy tanks is, in my opinion, the most important on this map and crucial. Move directly to your first key position and see if you can detect, scout and destroy any enemy that tries to sneak around the trees behind the hill. You really want to take care that no enemy can sneak behind your lines. You have to secure your teammates that brawl and help them to capture the point. Don't underestimate this area behind the capture point. Use ground in front of you or some rocks as cover. If you were able to destroy the enemies or no enemy appeared, move on and give your teammates who are at the first key position on the brawl route the signal to take A. By doing so, you can also check if they need help destroying enemies. But actually you want to make sure no other enemy tries to sneak up from the path behind A. This is why your second key position is a little further down the road. Again, use some rocks as solid cover and secure the area around you. Be aware that some enemies might appear right in front of you there. The third key position again helps to prevent the opponent from ever being able to drive up to A again. Here you can use several positions, but please do not camp the spawn. Just keep an eye on the path that leads up from the spawn to A, or use the speed of your tank and help with the other 2 capture points. But the priority is clearly the control over A. As the last route from this side, we look at the support route, for which you can use a little armor. Of course, we again use the small path that leads up to A. And this time we can even stop briefly at this first point until the rest of our team is in position. From here we can comfortably shoot at the enemies who want to go to C from the other side. The distance is 850 meters, and since the enemy is focused on the action in front of him, you can shoot at his side armor. Use the ground in front of you for cover and go hull down. In addition, you can also move forward a bit and shoot from the elevated position at enemies who want to take B at the beginning and don't use cover. The second key position can be a bit risky. However, it can be crucial for capturing the point A. Look at the minimap, and if your teammates are also on their way to capture A, drive through the archway as well and then keep to the left. This is where it gets dangerous. As soon as you drive through the second archway, you will have no cover from the left and you will have to focus on the enemies in front of you and to your right. So a bit of armor can't hurt here. Still, if you can make it through in one piece and help take out the enemies around A, the hill is yours. For the final key position to this support route, you can either stay on top of the hill, drop down to B, pass through the C, or take up position on the hill close to C. Again, it is useful to have some armor and speed. When we now have a look at the key positions at each phase of the match, we see a proper front line, and that everything is happening around the capture point A. Before we look at the other side, let's talk about a few positions around the other 2 capture points. Going directly to B does not make sense from this side. You can't really capture the point because you have no solid cover. Also, the position behind the point is more of a dead end. Most of the time there are enemies here, and even if you drive a bit further, you will meet enemies from all sides without the team being able to help you. You can also drive directly to C and turn right just before it. Here you have the chance to shoot the enemies who want to go to A early in the match. If you have enough armor, this can work. But if the opponent pushed C, you will quickly get into trouble without having an exit strategy. The ridgeline behind C is too far away, and it is also difficult to move to any capture point from here. So you can't have a big impact on the outcome of the match from here. Now let's take a look at the south spawn. If you have a down tier match and a tank with armor goes straight to the point A. Also from here a small path leads up to the hill, but it is not as well protected as from the other side. On the way up, look to the right and keep an eye on the position I mentioned earlier, as well as the area in front of C. Enemies with fast vehicles can intercept you from here, and if your vehicle is slow, better make a small detour through the forest. From this side you can again make an optional stop and shoot at the enemies at C. But it's not as efficient as from the other side, since you need more time to get into position. Therefore I recommend to continue directly to A. At the top you can sneak through the ruins to the left of the archway and move towards the capture point. Again, if your support team is in position to your left, you can push the point. If not, listen and look around to see if you can spot any enemies. Use the ruins around you as cover. So the first key position is before the capture point A. From this side, the second key position is again the capture point. Watch out for enemies in front of you and push the point only when your support on your left has the situation under control. Use the rocks at the point as cover and have an eye and ear to your right side. Key position number 3 for the brawl route from this side can again prevent the enemy from ever leaving the spawn again. Once your team has the hill under control, you can see if you can spot any enemies at the end of the small path that leads to A. Please do not spawn camp. Also, it is again more important to focus on B and C in case your team needs support here. Same as for the other side. When it is late in the match or there are enough of your teammates around A, you can drop down to the other 2 capture points and clear or capture them. From this side it is even safer. If you have to play as fast support vehicle without armor, you have again one of the most important tasks in this match. Drive on the direct way to the path behind the hill, to your first key position, and make sure that the enemy doesn't get control of the area here, especially in the trees to your left. Enemies can often sneak through to get behind your lines. Also keep an eye on the rock in front of you. If everything is clear, you can start to oversee the capture point and shoot at enemies if necessary. You will secure the flank for your teammates who can brawl and enable them to capture the point. When your team has taken A, you can move a little further towards the rocks. Here is your second key position. From here you can spot enemies or shoot them when they try to drive up to A. Let them push and don't shoot too early, because your teammates on A should also be in position and draw their attention on them. The third key position again helps to prevent the opponent from ever being able to drive up to A again. Use several positions to do so, but please do not spawn camp. Keep an eye on the path that leads up from the spawn to A, or use the speed of your tank and help with the other 2 capture points. Again, the priority is clearly the control over A. Now let's have a look at the support route where you need some armor. Here I can't recommend to make a stop at the optional position. There is just too little cover and you need some time to get here. This is why the first key position is right after the archway on the top of the hill. When you use a fast tank, you can even try to get there on the direct way. You still want to have an eye to the area on your right side. Make sure that some of your teammates that got a down tier match are with you and you aren't all on your own around the capture point A. See if any enemy tries to drive through the archway on the side of the enemy and use the ruins as cover. From this side it is more difficult to help. The enemy can sneak around the archway and shoot in the back of the enemy that is at the capture point. From this side you can't do so, and this is why your second key position is actually the first key position or just a little further. Make sure that your teammates that got a down tier match and brawl don't get flanked. For the last key position to this support route, you can either stay on top of the hill, drop down to B or drive to C. Again, the key positions at each phase of the match show a proper front line. There are a few good other positions from this side of the map. I just didn't include them in my strategy because the capture point A is just so important. The good position is directly the point B, because from this side you have cover and you can shoot at enemies who want to drive directly towards B. The only problem is that it's a dead end, and once the enemy has captured and controlled A, there's no way out. Left of B you can also go hull down and oversee the path that leads up to A, but unfortunately also again on the spawn. I really tried to go to C from this side, but I never had a good match doing so. This is why I can't recommend this area from this side of the map. The circumstance that the enemy has such an advantage with the optional position makes this area useless at the beginning. You will only be cannon fodder when you go there. I saw some players rushing to C and managed to get away with it, but the majority got destroyed. I hope I was able to give you some tips on how to win this map, and my key positions will help you to have better matches on Carpathians Domination. Like, subscribe and leave a comment if you want to, and check out my Discord server for more information and to connect with other players. Hope to see you in game soon.